Hey there, folks. Episode 1 of Film Club, the audio version. I'm your host, Brad. Today we have a guest with us, film school alumni, John Eric.
Hello.
It's shaking, dude.
Oh, nada. Ready to talk about some living and dying in LA.
Ooh, baby. Yeah. So if you guys haven't figured this out, we're just going to be here talking about To Live and Die in LA, 1985 film directed by legendary William Friedkin, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Made The Exorcist, probably his biggest claim to fame. French Connection. I don't know. What other ones would you say people would know off the top? I think those are like the big ones.
Those are the big ones. It's crazy. I was reading when you were telling me about that you were reading his book. I was reading about through his filmography, and I was just like, oh wow, he directed the Rules of Engagement with Samuel L. Jackson and Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He,
He's done a lot.
his career was very, very, very all over the place. Like he was a great director.
Yeah, very prolific too. Like some of his early work was, I think, the most well regarded in terms of people looking back on it. Like I know, obviously, The Exorcist and French Connection were huge, but
Yeah.
Sorcerer kind of got shit on. The movie with Roy Scheider, sweaty men driving trucks full of explosives through South America. It's
And so
honestly,
did I in LA. Like no one knows about this movie. Like
it's true.
yeah, it's just not well known.
It's kind of sad too because you have some really great performances in it, and it's a. I guess around that time too, there was a lot of, you know, studio execs who probably wanted buddy cop movies, and
Right,
that was the
right.
thing. I know, even talking about watching some behind the scenes footage for this movie. The Blu-ray release is really nice too by Kino Lorber. That's the
Oh,
version I watched.
I funny enough, I picked up my version of it at a giant tiger.
Oh my god,
So
DVD.
my Blu-ray of it is literally looks like when Blu-rays first came out.
Oh yeah, so it's like the basic version.
It's a basic version. I do like the cover of my Blu-ray, but yeah, no, I would love the Kino Lober.
It's pretty good. They released the 4K version. I don't have that one, but it looked really good. Yeah, and then kind of in behind the scenes, they were talking about stuff when making the movie, how they shot an alternative ending, which we'll get to later. But yeah, we should go over some of the main actors in it, I guess.
Okay.
William Peterson, obviously pretty famous now for, I guess, being in CSI. He was
Yeah.
Grissom.
I only was known for CSI when I growing up.
Yeah, I didn't honestly. I've never been a CSI guy, so for me, when I found out he was in that show, I thought it was interesting because
Yeah, the
people,
OG.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's done a lot of it, which it's weird to me. It's not like it's a detriment to his career because obviously he's a good actor, which you can see in this. But it's like I thought he would have done more films. Do you know what I mean? Like
It's
bigger
true
roles.
because it's true because like arguably his probably most famous role I'd say even over this would be Michael Mann's Manhunter,
Yes, which I still need to see.
which I see which I we're getting off the topic of To Live and Die in LA, but like sorry, not Red Dragon. Manhunter, I'm not a big fan of, to be honest. I think it's bad '80s dated, and I know a lot of people will shit on me for saying that, but I think To Live and Die in LA is perfect '80s, not dated, but like it's just you can tell it's an '80s movie, obviously, right? Wang
Oh
Chung did
yeah,
the scores,
yeah. Even from
but
the beginning, you can really tell.
yeah,
I feel like the
exactly.
first 10 minutes of the movie are like the most conventional in their storytelling,
Yes, definitely,
especially
and the
with the
most
Wang Chung.
yeah, and the most like almost like buddy cop traditional '80s movie too.
Yeah, his partner there, Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
I'm getting too old for this shit type of deal.
Yep, yep.
Um,
Like when the partner gets, that's when the movie becomes because it's violent. This movie is violent. Like you don't like action movies like Commando and with Schwarzenegger. There's violent movies, but this one is just so much more real.
Yeah, I think those
Like
movies
when he,
too are.
holy shit, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, they shoot him a couple times.
Yeah, that's right. And then
It's
yeah,
brutal.
yeah,
But yeah, so Willem Dafoe as well. We have William Peterson, Willem Dafoe, young Willem Dafoe, and he gives a really good performance in this movie too. It's at most times I actually find him more interesting than, I wouldn't say more interesting, but there's moments in the movie where he's a lot more shades of gray than like what a traditional like a Stallone or other movies would be, where the villain would be just I'm a
yeah,
bad guy, whereas um, William Peterson's character as Richard Chance is more of a many shades of gray protagonist, or at least the main character. But this movie I think is what William Friedkin does a lot, in especially in his other movies. He's always like kind of focused on fate and how characters, like in French Connection, right? You have cops who are not will go to any length, and that's kind of, you have bad guys who are just, what Willem Dafoe's just an art.
just chilling at the gym, just working out at the gym.
Yeah, working out at the gym, makes counterfeit money.
Cool. Is what I found cool about this movie too is that the main villain is not a drug dealer. He's not a drug kingpin. He's a counterfeiter. So that's kind of interesting that you like. It's all about a big counterfeiter in LA.
Yeah,
And I always found that when I first discovered or found out about this movie, it's just like, whoa, okay, that's cool.
yeah, and the montage with the music at the when he's making the money is pretty interesting too. How they timed like the machine cutting the paper with the actual beat of the music, and
Yeah, definitely.
they almost kind of show the art to it, right? And yeah, they definitely set up interesting character dynamics. I mean, you have interesting, supporting actors in this movie too, right? Like you have John Turturro and
Turturro's always great. Yep.
Dean Stockwell as the shady, corrupt lawyer. John Pankow, he was good as Vukovic. I don't know. For me, as in the movie, he was like one of the most. He didn't feel like he had a ton of character compared, but I guess you needed that in this type of film where, as we're gonna get to, it's like all the characters are interesting, and it's not so much a here's a good guy, here's a bad guy, and he's gonna get them all at the end. It's more of a you're watching it, and things play out.
Yes, definitely. Like, yeah.
So,
I
so
love
for
that
those who haven't, oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I love that Daphne from Frasier is in this.
Is she?
No, yeah, oh yeah.
Like,
Daphne from Frasier is the silent dancer friend of Defoe's girlfriend.
oh, that's true. Oh my God. Are they?
Yeah,
She's the one who leaves at the ending, right?
that leaves with at the end. Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So maybe we should talk about what goes on in this movie. So you have William Peterson's character, Richard Chance, loses his partner, and he's like a Secret Service guy protecting the president at the beginning. And pretty much after losing his partner gets brutally murdered, as we talked about, which was a crazy scene in the movie. It really switches tones because the beginning really seems like it's going to be that kind of almost Beverly Hills Cop, almost Lethal Weapon, getting too old for this shit type thing, right? They actually really set that up.
I laughed when he said that too. When I first saw the movie, I was like, "Oh, that's in other movies."
It's so played out these days too. It's
Yeah,
so, but then the movie takes a hard left after that, I'd argue, and it becomes more about this cop or Secret Service agent getting a new partner who's played by John Pankow, Vukovic, and these guys, Chance is pushing his luck pretty much the whole movie. He jumps off a bridge just for the shits and giggles of it. He's like a thrill seeker. His girlfriend's a ex-parole. She's a parolee, and so Ruth, I think, is her name, and she's like a stripper, or she works at a strip club. Morally ambiguous, but she gives this guy information, and he goes about ways with her. He's a piece of shit towards his character. I gotta say that. Like, if in terms of like she's an informant, but Chance's character is an absolute asshole to her throughout the movie. I don't know how she deals with this guy.
He literally is. Like, yeah, he uses her in, and yeah, it's ridiculous. It's why Defoe's character is almost more endearing. It's like what you were saying when we were talking about this movie weeks ago, when you said Defoe is so good to his girlfriend in it.
Yeah, like the
He's
way
the
they
villain.
interact is crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
They really show that too. Like you get these moments with characters when they're not in the main. It's not I'm selling counterfeit money or I'm trying to bust this guy. You have these private moments with these characters where you know Peterson's character says, "You want bread? Fuck a baker." After he just boned this girl and got the money off of her, and you're like, "Wow, he's a piece of shit." And she's just,
and he's such a good actor too. Because there's the other line too where she's just like, "Well, what if I didn't give you the information, or what if I didn't get it?" And what does he say? He goes, "I'd throw you back in jail."
yeah, have your parole revoked or whatever, something like that.
It's just like, wow.
And he's
Yeah,
cold. You don't know if, and at this point in the movie too, you almost hope that he's lying because the movie's like really following him a lot. He gets,
and that's why this movie is almost so good, because it's just like you're rooting for this guy, but he's such a piece of shit.
yeah, right. Traditional
Like,
moments, he's like we're kind of conditioned to believe he's the main character, right? Or like the protagonist, even though he's not a good guy at all.
no, not at all, not at all. And like that's shown late in the film, where it's just like, oh yeah, we can't afford that. Let's just rob. Let's become criminals. Let's go rob a diamond
Yep.
guy delivering diamonds. Let's go do that just so we can get the money to bust our guy.
Yeah. So pretty much, yeah, he goes through any available means to get Willem Dafoe's character Eric Masters.
Just
Rick.
because he's so
Yeah.
yeah, it's so clouded with getting revenge.
Which is a line that we're going to get to near at the end, but there's a line early on in the movie when he's talking to his buddy after he jumps off of a bridge. Jimmy Hart, the guy who gets gunned down by Defoe's character in a brutal fashion, says to him, "You're never going to make it to retirement. You push too hard. You take things too personal." He says this to Peterson's character when they are talking in the bar, walking, and he gives them the fishing rod, walking to the car, and I'm like, oh, a little,
Right.
it's not. It makes the ending a little bit more of a acceptable thing where you kind of realize that okay, there was shades of this, or at least hints of this throughout the movie, right? Where
Exactly, where it's shocking, but it's like I was shocked the first time, and then it's just, yeah, you go back and you're like, well, he is jumping off a bridge in the like opening scenes, and yeah, that's so funny because I didn't even realize it, and I just rewatched the movie, but I didn't realize about that line.
yeah, and
That
you know,
didn't anyway.
there's another part too when he chases John Turturro's character at the airport. Um, and he's just chasing the guy, and when he gets him in the bathroom scene, the other cop says to him, because he's Peterson's character's undercover, so the one cop
Right.
says to him, "Stop it, asshole, I'll blow your head off." A little foreshadowing as well, perhaps.
Oh wow,
When he says,
that's crazy.
I
Yeah.
noticed that upon rewatching it last time, like, okay, well, just so happens that he's pushing his luck this whole movie. He's a hothead, and he's on a revenge motif, but he's still the traditional, we might root for this good guy who's morally gray, and yeah, he's a piece of shit. And
It's so funny because it's just like the scene with Totoro, where he's bringing him to like to do the protective custody or whatever. What he's saying, you're not gonna bail on me, right? You're not gonna whatever. You're not gonna do this. And Totoro's character is like, no, 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 I'm not. But I want to go see my daughter. And he's like, okay. And then they go to see the daughter, and Totoro double crosses him, kicks the shit out of him.
yes,
And I remember watching it, I couldn't help but laugh, being like, Peterson kind of deserved this, but
it was like another naive moment, right, where he was just trying to get what he wanted.
where it was just like, what? You kind of had that coming to you. You're really kind of an asshole. So
Yeah, it's interesting too. Like the one thing I kind of liked about the narrative aspect, which I'm sure Friedkin took from the book, was like how it was written by an ex Secret Service dude, and how it's like journal entries. You know, you have like December 22nd. Oh wait, and then after certain scenes, you build up, and I think it takes place like over the course of a month or so. I think the last one's like January 30th, or no, starts on December 22nd, ends on January 30th. But like some scenes, the way the movie's cut and edited, it feels, at least upon the first viewing, it's like very abrupt in some scenes where it's just like, oh, he's dead, and then the next scene cuts to the Wang Chung, kind of intense music, and the cops are rolling in the car to where his partner just got shot to death.
Right.
It's kind of intense, but it also, it kind of breaks some conventions, I guess, in a way. Whereas some of the movie is like it's playing with like genre conventions. You expect it to be a buddy cop movie where the good guys are going to make it out and the bad guys going to go away, and it's a little bit more nihilistic.
I'm your new partner. Okay, well, we're gonna get this counterfeiter.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go do this. Yeah, it by the end, the with the freeway scene, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, we got to talk about the freeway scene. So essentially, they keep doing all this crazy stuff. Peterson's character gets another undercover cop killed just to try to get money to catch Defoe's character. So he's going to no ends, and him and his new partner, Vukovich, get in a huge car chase after they get a undercover cop killed. And, the car chase scene is pretty fucking legendary.
It really is.
It's crazy. I know Friedkin did The French Connection, and that's got one of the most famous car chase sequences, especially around that time.
Yeah.
For me, I remember watching the special features, and I think Friedkin said to the crew, if we're gonna shoot the chase sequence, and if it's not as good as The French Connection, we won't put it in the movie. So I guess it kind of gave the crew.
It's better.
Really? Okay.
I would. It's been a long time since I've seen The French Connection. I've seen it. I know that was one of the movies early in my childhood. My dad was like, "Yeah, you haven't seen The French Connection. We have to watch that." And I remember liking it. And then I think I've rewatched it once since. And don't get me wrong, it's a great film. But yeah, I don't really remember it that much. I remember the chase scene, but the chase scene in To Live and Die in L.A. has always stuck with me. Like, it's next level.
It's well shot too. Like, you have lots of shots where you can actually see the actors getting their reactions, like in the car. It's not just every shot's a stunt double and it's a really wide shot, right? It's
exactly
pretty impressive. I know that they put those dates of shooting the car chase to the last days of shooting. So those actors just die when they're driving in front of a moving train. It's just like, hey, whatever, we got the rest of the movie, we'll just cut the driving scene out. But I mean, William Friedkin always got shit done, right? Even like the scene when Chance is running through the airport there, and he runs along the top of the escalator, or whatever it is. Like, watching the special features, are like, they told Friedkin, don't do this, and Friedkin goes to Peterson and just quietly tells him, they told us we can't do this, but we've rehearsed you doing it, so when I say action and you do it, you can choose to do it or not, and we'll just kind of you know what I mean? Just because he knew it was good for the movie, he's just gonna like lie about it. And
that's a
Peterson. It's how we rehearsed it. I told him not to do it, but behind the scenes, he was just getting the shot he needed. I mean, it's a cool scene as well. So
yeah, the action scenes in this movie are still they're not dated. They still stand up today.
Yeah, and
the score.
The score.
The score, though, some people probably would be like, "What is this?"
I've seen some people say that, but to me, I don't know. I like it too.
Yeah.
If this movie was made nowadays, I could see it being a synthwave type soundtrack for sure, because the cinematography is beautiful in this movie. The amount of times the images are captured, and it's like the sun going down or the sun just coming up, right? You got a lot of seedy.
Yeah, the first time I saw it, the opening credits alone. Well, not the opening credits, because there's the prologue.
Yeah.
And then the opening credits. But yeah, when Wang Chung's music starts playing, And then the way I actually took a video on for Snapchat when I was watching it a few weeks ago, just because I love the opening credits so much.
They're memorable.
With yeah, yeah,
The music kicks ass, and you really, again, it's classic Friedkin. For the first few minutes of the movie, you have no idea what's going on. I noticed he does it in, you have an extended prologue in The Exorcist. You have extended prologue in Sorcerer, which is like the first 40 minutes of Sorcerer, where you're just like, what's going on? What's the story of this movie here?
yeah. Where it's just introducing all the characters. Yeah,
and this one is just like, here's two guys, and they're showing up. You can kind of tell it's for the president, right? But the music kicks in,
right.
and you get a vibe, and you're just like, okay, we're vibing here.
Mm-hmm.
It's Wang Chung, obviously. To Live and Die in L.A. If anybody doesn't know the song, you should check it out. It's a lot of fun. Very 80s.
Funny. The only song that I think anyone would know is because it was in GTA Vice City, which is an obvious nod to this movie, but is Dance Hall Days.
Yeah, and that plays in the strip club when Peterson goes.
Club.
It's very faint in the background, but when he goes to visit her.
I remember when I first watched this movie is because I actually did watch this movie pretty recently, like within the last, I want to say 10 years I saw it for the first time.
Okay.
And I remember when the strip club scene happened, I was like, oh, so that was in Vice City. Because in GTA Vice City, when you go into a strip club, the song Dance All Days is playing. I was like, oh, so they took that from the movie.
Little tip of the chapeau there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah, I guess.
But the rest of the soundtrack is amazing. Like, I always play Wait, the song Wait, which the instrumental opens the movie with the opening credits, and then the actual song is played during the end credits, and it's such a good song.
Yeah, big fan of Wang Chung. I dig them. We should probably finish talking about what happens in the story here, because we pretty much got all the meat and potatoes of it, apart from the ending.
Yep.
So
the shocker.
Yeah,
ending.
The hard left turn. So, yeah, the movie continues. Peterson doing worse and worse shit. Richard Chance's character just going down the rabbit hole of, taking notes, taking evidence from crime scenes. Vukovich gets more and more involved, even though his character, he says he's from a line of police officers in his family, and he's working the Dean Stockwell character to try and get some, some leverage over the situation, in the sense of, Chance's character is continually doing more and more egregious acts, while Vukovich is his partner, and you have that. It's almost a play on buddy cop movies too, because it's like, how far can I push you before this guy has become too much skin in the game type of thing, because Chance's character,
him to, just like he uses his informant, like, because he's obviously like Vukovich is not as strong or not strong, but like tough as Peterson, right? He's not as reckless.
Yeah, he's more by the books.
Exactly, and Peterson almost just uses him like he uses the girlfriend slash informant slash whatever,
occasional
but like,
sex toy, and he uses her as, right? The one scene after they're all stoked that they escape the car chase, that epic car chase sequence, what does he go do? He goes and slugs a couple shots of liquor, and then tries to make out with her and shit on the couch, and she's just freaking out, thinking the worst thing's gonna happen, and he's just like, oh, it's just another adrenaline rush for him. We survived today, and he goes and does this. And you have that, him even kind of instigating Vukovich to get involved in that bad, getting the cop killed.
With the heist,
yeah. He's the one who's like, you got no balls, you'll never make it on the street. You're a pussy and all this shit. I shouldn't have been you're not my partner, amigo, right? And then he storms off like a.
As amigo in the movie, I love Peterson's so good in this movie.
he is. I think that's if he was a bad actor, or if it was a bad performance, it would have been.
It would be dated, a dated 80s movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
he does have enough nuance to him where it's like you can see moments where you do want to like the character, and you still just can't.
Small little.
So then after they get an innocent guy killed, and after going undercover enough, and you get obligatory ass shots of Defoe. Defoe's naked a bunch in the movie too. I feel like we haven't talked about. We'll get to his character after we finish the story here. And
Right.
so, yeah, so they finally end up meeting up with Defoe at the end of the film to do the counterfeit money with the blood money Peterson's character got. They meet up in a room, and you have the ultimate badass henchman who not only kills Jimmy Hart at the beginning of the movie, Chance's partner. That's which sends him on this whole escapade. But he's the one in the locker room with Vukovich and Defoe's character. And what happens next is like, I remember watching the movie for the first time. Spoiler alert: if you haven't seen it, it's 1985. Too bad. Peterson's character eats a shotgun to the face. A shotgun shot to the face. He goes down hard, and it's
Like DiCaprio in The Departed.
yeah.
And I'm so if you haven't seen The Departed, fuck you, because just ruined The Departed as well. But
If you haven't, it's not.
ruin The Departed because you don't, as reckless as he is, you don't expect William Peterson, who's the lead character, male hero of the movie, to get his head blown off at the not the ending of the movie, but the climax of the movie. Like,
Oh yeah, last 10 minutes, give or take
Yeah,
12. Yeah. You almost expect him to be the one, or maybe the partner, to die. So I think they kind of subverted expectations there.
definitely.
Yeah, and it's not. The movie's kind of overall tone is like a very gritty, almost like Miami Vice, right? It's like,
It's like Miami Vice if it were, a violent, not because who's Don Johnson? Don Johnson's character on Miami Vice is so likable. Okay, he's such a classic '80s almost action hero, where William Peterson's a piece of shit.
yeah. So they do play with expectations in that sense, because even the scene when he dies probably could have been avoided. If you think about it, when the way it plays out, he's hot dogging, just like Jimmy Hart told his partner tells him earlier in the movie. He's okay. Vukovich has to cuff the goon. Defoe's partner there, and so he can put the poker chip that he was making the counterfeit money with. He said, "You killed my partner," or whatever, in the desert. He says, "Suck on this for a while." So it has to be about his character getting the last laugh, right?
Exactly.
And then
the
that's
revenge.
Yeah. And that's exactly what ties into the beginning of the movie when he says you take things too personally. If he just would have done it the way that, have the other guy who didn't have a weapon on him, like Defoe's character didn't have a gun on him as far as we know. He doesn't pull one after, right? He just runs out of the room, but he goes to hot dog with Defoe and get the last laugh on him, and then the other guy pulls a shotgun out and they shoot each other, and Peterson gets headshotted, goes down, and it's very unceremonious too. It's not like a hero send off.
So like that's what I love about this movie, is that when that happens, it's just like, oh yeah, wow, shit,
That
you
just
just
happened.
killed off. Yeah, that just happened.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you're like, holy shit. I remember seeing it for the first time and I was flabbergasted because I didn't see it coming. And when it did happen, it's just like it almost, I don't want to say it takes the wind out of your sails, but it's like you don't know where it's going now.
No, absolutely not. It's like, well, how is this going to end now?
And then it ends by Vukovich chasing down Defoe, and he dies the same way what he does to most of his art, right? He burns his art after he's done making it, and I guess that's what Friedkin was saying as well, right? You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Chance is always kind of hothead, running into situations, thrill-seeking. It was bound to catch up with him one day.
Yep, and then
Defoe's burning his art. He goes down in flames, gets shot by Vukovich, and then you should talk about the ending, because you had a really funny description of it after everything's said and done.
After everything's said and done,
after Defoe dies, and then you have I think what speaks a lot about their characters, you have the lovers of Rick Masters, Defoe's character, who keeps the love tapes that she has.
Right.
With his character, and seems genuinely sad, but she leaves with her partner, who As another character who's throughout the film, it's almost like Defoe's character has this girlfriend, but they're in an
But
open
not
relationship, or at least she
what
has
was
a
it?
girlfriend. I don't
Their
know.
first scene together. I remember their first scene together. It's just a really weird kind of like she's just finished her performance and she's in her makeup and everything. And it's always whenever when Willem Dafoe like embraces her and everything is like, oh, okay, they're together.
Yeah, and then it cuts, and then that scene he starts making out with her in the
Yeah,
back, and then you see her girlfriend, who you just think is another performer at the time, watching on. Then later in the movie, he's like, okay, I gotta go make some more counterfeit money and do whatever the hell his character's gonna do at that point, and he leaves those two to have their fun. That girl's in lingerie, and she's just like, okay, you girls stay along. But then, it's kind of interesting because of that time too. A lot of the male characters are assholes. You have like these moments of intimacy amongst these women who are mostly kept out of like the bad shit. I'd say, like,
hmm
for the most part, I'd say.
does use her. He does use her, unlike like William Peterson. He uses her as bait. Well,
Yes.
Defoe's characters uses her as bait in the one scene. But unlike Peterson, it doesn't seem like she's in any real danger in that scene because the character, I don't know who the like it's the like an informer on Defoe, but I just remember thinking like when he confronts him and he just says, "Oh, and you were gonna fuck my girl."
Yes, I remember that scene. Yeah, that's a really good scene.
No, I wasn't, but
And you can tell that Defoe was just like in that sequence. You really could tell that like he never had any worry about what she was gonna do. Like her loyalty lies with him.
he didn't. Yeah, he knew she wasn't gonna betray him, and like yeah, Defoe is so good in this movie,
Yeah,
just like Peters. Defoe is so good as the villain in this movie, but he's so sympathetic too. Like he is cool.
yeah. And
Other than like,
he's not like
being
physically imposing, but he's got that nasty streak to him.
Defoe look,
Yeah, he's just
he's
evil
young
looking sometimes. Yeah,
so evil looking.
the way he gives looks and sips that can of Coke at one scene is just
Oh my god, yeah.
before they go to collect the money.
What, 15 years probably before? Oh, maybe uh, before Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was great in it. Um,
He's such a good. I love Willem Defriend. Like whenever he's a good guy in a movie too, I love that. Like I need to rewatch Platoon, but he's super good in Platoon as the good guy.
he's
But
really funny in other roles too. It's like insane. He's such a good actor.
he is such a good actor, and this movie is just like it's early in his career, and you can just tell that this guy especially would go on to do great things because it's just like, oh my god, every scene he's in.
Yeah, he owns every scene he's in. It
Yeah, it's like you said, physical presence at all. But even in like the gym scene where he's just describing himself and describing, he's just like, yeah, you can find me here every week, or no, he says you can find me here 5 times a week or whatever. And it's just like, here's the bad guy, the villain, telling you where you can find him and just being super open about it.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way he runs his business too, he's ruthless.
My
But
reputation speaks for itself.
that's what he says. It's just like, yeah, he's ruthless and like he's a bad dude, but it's just like, well, he is kind of cool. Like he's way more cool headed than our main character is.
Yep. He understands he's been doing this for a while, and he's
He
you know,
knows the games. Yeah, exactly.
and yeah, to Peterson's character, Richard Chance, there to his detriment, he's not calm, cool, or collected. He's on a revenge motif, and that's what gets him killed. Um,
Yes.
in the ending of the movie, you have Defoe's girlfriend take off with her girlfriend in his car, and she keeps the tapes, so there is kind of a closure to his character.
Right.
And then we cut to Ruth, the stripper informant, to Richard Chance, and Vukovic shows up there, and now he's kind of dressed a little bit like Chance would. He's got the sunglasses, he's got the black and tells the girl that you're working for me now, and it's like
Yep.
Jesus. So that's the end of the movie with a shot of Peterson's face.
That's the after credits, which I remember laughing because I don't usually watch new movies, or even when I rewatch movies, I don't tend to watch the credits unless I'm really blown away and I'm just a wreck or whatever. But like this movie, I watched the whole credits because Wang Chung's song "Wait" plays during the credits. And I remember the first time I watched the entire credits because it plays during it. And I remember when the random shot of Peterson's face comes after the credits, I started laughing. I was like, okay.
What? Yeah. I guess it was a kind of an idea that he's taking on the persona of Chance. Freakin said this in an interview as well.
Okay.
So he's like becoming the counterfeit version, the final counterfeit, or he's becoming like he's not actually becoming Chance's character, but he's who was once someone who would uphold the law and be more on the good guy side of the law, is now breaking the rules, and you're working for me now. So it's, I guess, assumed that he's going to be going down the same path, almost a cyclical thing, which I thought was a really interesting end of the movie because I think a lot of the characters in this movie are morally shades of gray. That's what every character is interesting in their own way.
Definitely.
And that's kind of what makes the ending interesting, is it's kind of like, okay, what is good and what is bad, as opposed to.
Yeah, see, like for me, and it's funny because I know you mentioned when we were talking about it that there is an alternate ending,
Yes.
which I'm very curious to know what that is because I have never given this, and it's damn near perfect to me, but I've never given this movie a perfect rating. And for me, it is actually the last scene.
Yeah.
I've never really, and maybe it's just because John Panko, who plays John Vukovic, maybe it's because he's just not, to me, like there's so many like home run performances in this movie, and I don't really think he's as good an actor.
Yeah.
But I've never liked that scene where he says, "You work for me now," and it's just like, oh, come on, would he really be just all of a sudden super cool? I know he's like he literally kills Defoe's character, and like that whole scene at the end, and what he goes through in the movie, it would be like it would change you, right?
Yeah. It's
But the
very
whole
abrupt too.
it is very abrupt, and it just he almost looks like, and I thought about this the other day. He looks like what's the character from Christine when he gets Christine, the army character from Christine. He just all of a sudden gets this because he's a nerd, right? And he gets this cool persona.
It's like
And in that
Steve Urkel
movie,
to Urkel. It's just like a 180.
so much. Oh my god, that is a funny way of putting it too. It's so like really, man. Like in Christine, it's a horror movie, and in Family Matters, it's Urkel being, it just
Suave suddenly. Yeah, it's weird because
yeah.
it's like the whole movie.
I've never given this film a perfect rating. It's because that last scene always just bugs me. So what is that? Like I need to know because I've never realized there wasn't an alternate ending. What is the alternate ending?
The alternate ending is essentially that they shot a separate ending because the studio wanted them to. This is on
Okay.
the Blu-ray, the newer one.
Yeah.
And so Freakin says, "Yeah, we just shot it as a joke because the idea was ludicrous. The studio thought it should be like a Beverly Hills Cop type thing, and they said that they didn't like the fact that they kill Peterson's character off, so they want to have sequel options, or at least audiences." I think what Freakin they didn't say sequel options, to live and continue living in LA. Sequel.
Live and maybe die in L.A.
Part
Question mark.
To live and thrive in LA, starring John Pankow.
To live and thrive, or to live in, like you said with Totoro, to live and drive in L.A.
Yeah, driving away, starts a new business. God damn.
So the alternate ending is that Peterson doesn't die.
Peterson gets shot in the locker room, but he only gets shot in the chest, and he survives. And then so the ending doesn't have the girlfriends or the partners leaving, but it's Pankow and Peterson stationed in Alaska. It's the stupidest scene in the world. Like even the way they shoot it is stupid. They knew that they weren't going to use this because the studio wanted an option, so they.
To see
It's on YouTube if you look it up. Anybody look it up. Yeah,
so I don't have to hunt down my Blu-ray and my massive.
they're like stationed in Antarctica or something, or in Alaska or something, and it starts with John Pankow playing cards and like he's playing something by himself, and there's an update on the news about the crime and all this stuff, and the camera slowly pans over, and Peterson's over there sitting on a table, sitting in a chair, and just kind of like smiling, and so it's supposed to be like, and then it ends with one of those like December 22nd or whatever, right? And the time, and they got stationed out here. It's like a filed note, and they're like, they got stationed out here, much to their chagrin, for all the. It's very. It doesn't fit the narrative of the movie at all, and very weird.
Imagine it like cuts to like a Norwegian character walking in and speaking in Norwegian, and it's just like the thing, a tie-in with the Thing.
It's Kurt Russell's character, McCready. Yeah, I don't think they should have. I think the ending they stayed with was good.
That's hilarious. That sounds like a comedy movie that they would honestly think that. And see, and that's I said that the reason I haven't given this movie a perfect rating in my mind is the ending. I love that they kill Peterson at the end. I love that he gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
For me, it's just the way they go about of doing the. You work for me now. I'm the new William Peterson. I thought that could have been handled better.
Yeah, even if there was one more scene in there, something like between
something. It's the abruptness for me that
like a scene maybe where he's like talking to Dean Stockwell's character, and he's paid him off, and now he's like, you can see the grimy shift.
The closure with Defoe's girlfriend and her girlfriend, that's really cool, where it's just like it gives closure to his character, the villain's character. But with Peterson and just like his partner with Vukovic, just all of a sudden showing up, and he's cool as ice, and he just goes, yeah, you work for me now. I just that is always just the way that scene plays out has always been like, I wish that had been done better.
Yeah. And it's almost like they didn't know how they wanted to end it, and they just kind of picked what worked best. But
I'm so glad they didn't go with the Alaska thing, because that would have just been ridiculous. That would have. Can you imagine if that had been? I don't even think we'd be talking about this movie today if that had been the original ending.
No, and I don't think it would stick with the message of the movie either. Like the whole time, in the special features Freakin was talking about it, the studio thought that people would be upset about Peterson's character dying, and that's why they wanted to change it. And Freakin was more of the mind. He goes, I don't know. I don't know if people really like this guy. You know what I mean? So it's like, because
I obviously when it happened, I was shocked, but I wasn't happy that he gets killed. Like, you still are rooting for this guy, because like his partner and his like Chance's partner, what's his name?
Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, he is like such a father figure character to him that you do feel bad for Richard Chance in this movie, in that sense that you can see why he's going on this revenge path, because Richard, like, Hart was so cool, and such the way he died was so shocking too. So I wasn't like, Peterson and Richard Chance, like, the character is such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I was actually happy and laughed, and when he gets the shit kicked out of by Totoro, I find that scene hilarious, and I love it because he's just like, you're not gonna betray me, right? No, you're not gonna betray me, right? No, of course not. And then he just the way it goes about too, he just kicks the shit out of him.
Those POV shots of him on the ground and just like low angle of John Turturro just kicking him in the head.
So funny. Just like, that's a scene where I'm just like, Peterson's a piece of shit, and it's like, oh, okay, that's hilarious. But yeah, the whole movie, like, you do still kind of you are rooting for him. You do want him to take Willem Dafoe down, because as much as I said, like, Dafoe is sympathetic too, he still killed Jimmy Hart, and that's like the catalyst for the whole movie, is that the Jimmy Hart seems like the only kind of character in this movie who's not. He's not doesn't have an ulterior motive. He's not crazy. He's just tired. He's just
Yeah,
tired. It's almost
he's about to
and
retire too. Last Action
yeah,
Hero even had that character where it's like 2 days to retirement, then he dies. But yeah, it's sad because you don't really get to know the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, that well. It's he's there, but
and
he's
yeah,
not
and like
corrupt, or at least it seems so.
as cool and collected and sympathetic as Defoe's character can be, it always comes back to that opening, like the scene where he shoots him, or where his bodyguard shoots him, and then he shoots him and says, "What does he say? You were in the wrong place at the wrong time."
Yeah, it's not personal to him. It's just, buddy, you're in the wrong place.
But that's even the fact that it's just like, okay, this guy does need to be taken down.
Yep. And he does kill other people too, like the guy who tried to steal money from him, and then I don't know if it's ever shown. The guy, oh fuck, I forget his character's name. He's the black guy who was he sold him some counterfeit money, and then he goes to get it back, and there's a huge fight. And then the bodyguard shoots the guy, but you don't see him die.
Too. Because that just shows, again, he goes to this yoked guy's house, and he's got all of his henchmen there too. And Defoe. He's scrawny. He's not. He goes to the gym 5 times a week, but he's still Willem Dafoe, right? He's not.
Yeah.
He's not an imposing dude, but him in that scene alone, like he says, "You owe me. You need to give me my money back."
Yeah.
And the guy's actually, like, even though he has his henchmen there, you can tell he's kind of afraid.
Yep. It's and Defoe has that guy who bags Jimmy Hart, and after they shoot him like 3 times. They shoot him once when he's in the dumpster. Defoe shoots him in the head, and then his bodyguard shoots him again and spits on him. And then in this scene, he shoots one of those guys in the face, and he's the one who shoots Peterson in the last scene too. Like, this guy's got a high kill death ratio. He's
right.
I don't know. It's
James. I had to look it up. Stephen James is the actor that tries to get Totoro when he makes the deal with Willem Dafoe. Tries to get Totoro killed in prison.
Oh yeah, he was in The Warriors too.
Yes, and American Ninja.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, where do I know that guy from?
He was a cool character in this movie too. But yeah, I think a lot of the characters in this movie are very interesting and well done. So,
yeah.
The soundtrack, we've kind of already been over that. Any closing thoughts on this, or anything you want to go over?
Oh, not really. We've kind of gone over it all. Like, just for not a really well known or discussed film.
Yeah.
It's sad, which is sad because, like, 1985 and has all these people in it. It's a great film and doesn't get talked about.
Yeah, so I'm glad we had a what I'd like to think a little nice discussion about it today. Thanks for coming on.
I know what I'm doing after this. I am immediately looking up that alternate ending on YouTube.
You gotta watch it. Anybody who hears this, you should go watch it after you watch the movie, of course, though, because you don't want to spoil it. You want to. If you haven't seen it already, I mean, spoiler alert, but I mean, too bad. It's 1985, buddy. Buddy, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time if you're listening to this before watching it. Yeah, great movie. I'd highly recommend it to anybody who likes, like, cop.
It's amazing.
Thriller dramas. It's a lot of fun. Gritty, and yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on.
No problem.
If anybody liked it.
I love talking about obscure movies. Obscure great movies.
This movie definitely deserves more credit, and more people should see it.
And a giant tiger Blu-ray bin.
Yeah. $5?
I think that's how much I paid for my Blu-ray of it.
Hey, that's not bad. You can find it now on I forget what streaming service it's on, but it does have a really nice physical media, which I suggest if anybody is interested, you get the new one, the Kino Lorber. They have it in 4K, and the Blu-ray has a lot of special features, and the transfer is really nice. Um, other than that, long live physical media.
Long live physical media.
And R.I.P. Billy Friedkin, another fantastic movie. And with that, thanks for coming on tonight, John Eric.
No problem.
We'll be talking again soon.
Alrighty, I will definitely be here for any other ones you have.
Peace.
Bye.